Cool. So I'm Vanessa. I'm also now known as the girl on a bike, which kind of says exactly what it is on the tin. I've relatively recently got into motorbikes following a quite a big life-changing accident that took a pretty hefty hit on my life. But I've discovered motorbikes, and now I am a full-on hard enduro addict. I'm nowhere near on like the Megs crazy Braap level, but I am pretty dedicated training. I live in England, and I also sort of ride a little bit of a variety of motorbikes. So it's not just enduro. I also do ADV. I have a Harley, even got the Harley bling on.
Nice.
One of them. And basically life is, my passion is motorbikes now, basically.
When did you start? What was your first bike? How did it start?
Yeah, so I wasn't a kid that was into motorbikes. I don't think I really acknowledged their existence growing up at all, which is pretty mad. But when I was 21, I through the university course I did, ended up doing a work placement in the Bahamas, which is all a little bit random. But I did marketing and PR on a remote island in the Bahamas, and someone's got to do it, right? I couldn't afford a car, but I needed a way to get around the island, and I thought, well, why don't I get a motorbike? I'd never ridden a motorbike, and there wasn't a motorbike on the island. So they were like the first hurdles, but whatever. I found one, like a Chinese Lifan 250 little dirt bike, basically a wannabe Honda, and had it shipped in to the Bahamas. And it arrived in a box, like not a bike. It was like a bike in a box. And I couldn't do mechanics back then. So I was a little bit like, what do I do with this? A bottle of rum and the local bush mechanic had it all set up and, you know, told me where the start button was and roughly how to disappear off. And before I knew it, I was buzzing around the island with my spear and fins on the bike, and I'd go off like spear fishing and exploring the island. I came back to England and got my full bike license, and didn't have a bike for a really long time because at that point financially I couldn't afford a car and a bike, and it just wasn't something that I sort of had in my life. And then after my accident, once I was physically able to, I was basically battling traffic going to work in the office because I couldn't cycle to work anymore as I had. So I thought, well, why don't I get a motorbike to beat the traffic, which was genius. And what I didn't realize is that motorbikes are highly addictive and they breed.
Yeah.
That one became like a desire for another motorbike, and before I knew it, they'd sort of morphed, and I'd swapped that one and got another one. And through my journey of physical recovery from the accident, I then came through to the point where enduro came into my world, basically.
What exactly happened with your accident? What was the accident?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so 25th of March 2014 is when the accident happened. And I guess a key thing to think about before I even tell you the accident is prior to the accident, I was an extreme sport adrenaline junkie. Kite surfing was my big thing. I'd gym 3 to 4 days a week. I'd cycle to work 16 miles every day. Like, it was all physical activity and sports. And then the 25th of March 2014, I was cycling home from work. It was a normal Tuesday. I was actually on the way to the lake to go wakeboarding with some friends and my now husband. And a car coming the other way decided not to read their red light and jumped straight through the lights, cut across in front of me. And it left me with nowhere to go. I went straight into the side. And my right shoulder took the full impact, and then I landed onto the ground, onto my right hip. The injuries at the time weren't mental. It wasn't like I was bleeding out on the side of the road or anything like that. But the implications of the injuries meant that I had a 5-year recovery with 6 surgeries, and I've now got a reconstructed shoulder and right hip. So I'm a little bit bionic. There were times in that journey where I didn't realize the world could go so dark, I suppose. You know, I had to set goals, and it might have just been that going to the toilet on my own, or putting my own socks on. And I guess linking to the question we had just now about the dirt bikes, after my first hip surgery, so I've had 4 on my hip, I was bedbound, and I randomly woke up one morning and turned around to my husband and said, "Can I get a dirt bike?" And to this day, I don't actually know where the idea came from. And we were lucky enough to be in a position where we could go out, and we found this cheap little dirt bike, and we bought it almost immediately. But it was 5 months till I could even sit on it.
Right.
But I had it. It was the goal. It was something that when I had those awful days where I just hurt and I didn't want to do my physio and I just wanted to hide in a duvet, it was that like motivation to, come on, you can't let that woman's momentarily lapse of judgment, change everything. You've got to fight through this. And so the motorbikes have been huge energy for me in my journey, in my recovery, basically. So yeah,
Wow.
I'm a little bionic, a slightly reconstructed human, but I make do with what I've got. Randomly get stuck in tops because I can't pull my shoulder around or hobble a little bit. But you don't need to walk when you've got a motorbike, right?
All right, next question for you. All right, so with the injuries you've had, are you ever worried about getting injured again when it comes to riding?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yes and no. So I guess I now realize quite how much your body can hurt, a lot more than maybe I would have done without the accident. And I know how hard a recovery can be. But I also know that I was able to get through that. So if I got injured again, I know that I've got the strength to be able to come out the other side stronger. And there's a huge element of the fact that you just can't bubble wrap yourself through life. Just because I had that injury, because like some people say, well, hang on, you got hit cycling. Why on earth would you then get on a motorbike on the road? That's surely more dangerous. But just because it happened then, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. And I can't, bubble wrap and hide myself away in life. So yeah, it's a risk. And I am a little bit more vulnerable if I fall off than I used to be because of my lovely body parts. But it's my body. It's the only body I'm ever going to have. And I'm not going to stay home and sit on the sofa because it got hurt once upon a time.
Right.
Fine. Keep riding.